Sometimes creative freedom isn't really freedom at all. In fact, it's a prison. And the only way out of that prison is through some gosh dang limitations. Too many possibilities. You know, sometimes you just want to draw, but there's so many things to think about. Like, what am I going to draw? What colors am I going to use? How am I going to draw it? Am I going to use, what brushes am I going to use? If I can just take some of those decisions off of my plate, boy howdy, I'm a happy camper. Someone very smart once said, limitations are possibilities. I think you can make better work by taking away some of the possibilities and just making up some limitations to put on yourself. Because if the possibilities are infinite, how can you even be creative with that? I think what's truly creative is making something unique with a set amount of rules or a set amount of things and trying to do something unique with that. Because otherwise, there's just too much out there. In this video, I'm going to show you an example of how I've done this myself, and we're going to work through a drawing that's part of a series that I've been doing that I've set specific rules for myself for the project, personal project. Recently, my kid has been really into the Ninja Turtles, which is super awesome because I love the Ninja Turtles too. I grew up loving the Ninja Turtles. When I was a kid, I really liked Raph. But now as an adult, I resonate more with Donatello. Eclectic! Do you have a Ninja Turtle that you resonate with? If so, let me know in the comments. Very curious. That's Donatello. He's the purple one. He's got a bow staff. Raph's red. He has the sai. He's cool but rude. He is pretty rude. And also in the live action ones, which I'm about to talk about, that's a perfect segue. My kid, for some reason, has been drawn to the live action ones from the 90s specifically, which are pretty hilariously bad, but we've watched them a lot. In the third one, the turtles find themselves in ancient Japan. They time travel. And when they're there, one of these ancient warriors refers to the turtles as Kappa, which is a common character in traditional Japanese style tattoos, which I'm a big fan of, and one of my good friends, Chris Wilk, he specializes in. This is one of his books of his tattoos. I think he's got his own kappa in here. Yeah, so here we go. This is a kappa. The kappa is a terrifying, beautiful, agile, mischievous water demon. Within that context, the kappa can take on many forms, but generally they're described as a reptilian humanoid that inhabits the rivers and streams of Japan. So it's sort of perfect for a Ninja Turtle. And when this was said, when they would call the turtle a Kappa, I was like, whoa, that would be a cool tattoo. A Kappa in the style of a Ninja Turtle. A Ninja Turtle in the style of a Kappa. And I told Kristen, I was like, hey, I think you need to tattoo a Ninja Turtle on me like this. Anyway, I got caught up in the idea and just started drawing them. And then I had so much fun doing Ninja Turtles as Kappa, I decided to explore even more and do some of these other Ninja Turtle characters and bad guys and side characters in this traditional Japanese tattoo style, sort of like a hybrid of that style and my own style. I think this style sort of blends well with my own style, and it sort of, I don't know, it sort of works because both this traditional tattoo style and my work are sort of simple in form and very line driven. It's like the line is very important in both of these styles. So these similarities, I think, have allowed me to take some inspiration from these, but also make them my own because, you know, it sort of blends together nicely. It's sort of like adding a little bit of this flair to how I draw things anyway. So let's get back to these rules that I was talking about. I wanted to stick with the traditional Japanese style and do very minimal color palettes. So I limited myself to 3 colors for this whole series of characters. I'm only using 3 colors, and that is including the line work color. I'm getting the line work color by overlaying the 3 other colors to get that darker color. So just 3 colors. There's the thing about colors. Colors can be a headache for me. And if I don't have to think about colors for an illustration, it is nice. Sometimes a color palette just comes to me and it works, but other times I'm trying so many different colors and I am not happy with the results. For these, I already know what's happening. I know what I have to work with. I got to use those and I got to make it work. Love that. So to blend those colors nicely, I'm using the Retro Supply Co Riso brushes, which also have that sort of printy quality that I think meshes well with the style. And I'm doing all of the line work using the Retro Supply Co Classic inker from their liner set. I'm using that at like 50 point in a 4,000 pixel document. Using it at 50 limits me from getting too fine of detail because I want these to be more bold, decisive lines. So because I have a set color palette, I've got set brushes that I'm using. I even have the sizes picked out. I don't have to think about anything but the characters themselves and drawing them. And that gives me the freedom to be creative in the way I draw them. It's a wonderful thing. Cowabunga. It means no worries. I don't think cowabunga means it. Hey, what is cowabunga? In this video, we're going to draw Donatello in the style of a kappa. Okay, so here is some of the set so far. As you can see, I've done a bunch of them, and I've got these specific rules in place. I'm only using 3 colors, so all of these are done just using a combination of these 3 colors, just layered. I'm doing that with the Retro Supply Co Riso brushes that layer really well to give that really cool, printmaking look. I thought that worked well with the style of these tattoos and like sort of that simplistic color palette and just the handmade quality. So as I mentioned, I'm drawing these, taking inspiration from traditional Japanese style tattoos and sort of blending it with my own style. I'm taking visual cues from things that are done in tattoos, trying to sort of mimic the line work and just the maybe expressions and some sort of repeating things that I've seen in some of these tattoo images. So with this minimal 3-color palette, I'm not even using black as like a line work. I'm actually just using a combination of these 3 colors layered over each other to get my black color. If you zoom in here, you'll see that the dark line quality is just made up of the other colors layering over themselves using those Riso brushes. So for the line work on all of these, I'm using the Retro Supply Co Classic inker set to 50, and my document is 4,000 pixels wide. So that's consistent for all of them. I'm drawing them full screen. I just have all these up here to show you lots of them. My first step in drawing one of these is to gather some reference images. I don't need to do that for the turtles themselves because those are burned into my memory forever. But with some of these other characters that aren't in the show as often and just sort of weird, rare one-off characters, I try to find clean images of them, but it's kind of hard, especially with some of them that were just in some of these early cartoons or in the movies. The quality is not very good. What I found helpful sometimes is to actually just look for images of the action figures because there's lots of those and they're good quality and I can see some details in there that I might not see otherwise. I'm not really using them to draw from, but just sort of to get an idea for features that they may have or expressions or just things that make them unique. For example, the Muckman character, I couldn't really tell that he had like tentacle things coming out of his face, but it was easier to see on one of the action figures. And then I just Google image search Japanese traditional style tattoos and just try to find ones that have sort of similar feeling or shape or expression to whatever character I'm going to draw. For this one, I'm doing a Ninja Turtle, so I was just looking for kappas. So I have some of them pulled up here. So I got a bunch of different tattoo images here to use as inspiration and reference. If you're using Fresco and you didn't know this is super helpful. If you go over to the image icon on your toolbar and insert a photo this way, it comes in as a photo layer as opposed to a pixel layer. And when it's a photo layer, you can drag it outside your artboard and it won't interfere with your drawing space, which is pretty amazing. If you convert it to a pixel layer, then it's going to get cut off. But as long as it stays a photo layer, you can move it all over your artboard, and I think that's super handy. I know Procreate has a feature where you can like have a reference window, but I like this better because it's just there. I don't have to have a separate window or anything like that. It's just over there. Another thing I like to do when I have a bunch of reference images like this is I just group them together by dragging them on top of each other, and then I can just toggle them all on and off at the same time. This is helpful because one of the things that is a little bit annoying about this setup is when you move your reference off of the artboard, the thumbnail doesn't show it. So it's very hard to find what image you're trying to move when you have no thumbnail. So I started a rough sketch. I decided that I wanted this one to be a head-on look like this and sort of symmetrical. I know that Fresco doesn't have the symmetry tool yet, and to be honest, I don't think I would be using the symmetry tool to do this anyway because I like the imperfection of doing both sides. I don't like it to be perfect. I noticed that on a lot of these kappas, they got this long pointy tongue, so I definitely wanted to lean into that. And there's also lots of just like excessive like wrinkle and just like a lot of expressive lines in like the eyes. So that's definitely something I want to do. There's this weird like double eye furrow thing, which is kind of cool. And then I found this one, which I think the color is amazing on this one. And I really like the pupils and the eyes and that like triangular shape. So as you can see, I'm taking inspiration from this, but I'm not like copying it. I'm sort of making it fit the Ninja Turtle, but then like taking some of those aspects. So then there's this like demon face here that I liked that sort of straight on symmetry, and that's what inspired that. So I'm sort of combining these two different things. I thought it would be fun to have it symmetrical like this, but then have this big pointy tongue sort of break that symmetry. I'm feeling pretty good about this initial shape right here. What I'm going to do now is copy it and flip it, and then use that as like the guideline for making the full drawing. All right, so I'm going to come over here and duplicate this layer, and I'm going to flip it, and then I'm just going to double tap the modifier, and this is going to lock the x-axis so I can kind of drag it over. I think that's looking pretty good, and now I just need to erase the extra tongue. I'm going to merge these three layers together and then bring down the opacity. I'm trying to draw them all at like the same size to keep the line weight consistent because I plan to kind of make a print with all of them. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let me know if you'd want to see a print of this. Let me know in the comments. I think what I'm going to do is start with the nose snout situation. Oh, a snout. Whatever it is. Start with that. So I'm going to come over here, connect this line, the same on this side. I've been having so much fun doing all of these characters. I don't even know how many I've done so far, but it's been a lot. I guess I could just count that image I had up. But regardless, I don't know how many more I'm going to do. So as I'm drawing these lines, I really want to exaggerate that taper, so I'm like lifting just ever so slightly at the ends of the lines to get that thinner point. I think I want to have it be round at the top and then taper down like that. Now we'll do this one over here. See, I like how the one that I just did on the right is a little bit different. It's a little bit more flared. I just think that, I don't know, adds a little bit of extra character to it. I don't like the perfection of pure symmetry. So I think I like these extra accent lines. I feel like they give it a, I don't know, more evil look for some reason. Okay, so now we've got to do, I like this like half circle thing going on with the eyes, like in between the eyes there. I think I might want to exaggerate that and have it come down over this line to break that up a little bit. So I think what I'll do is I will turn down the opacity of this layer a little bit and then do a new layer on top so I can really exaggerate that. Now I can just come back to this layer and erase that section, and then I can merge that. The eyes, like this is crucial. This like over this brow situation, I think is crucial to getting that menacing look. I also like this sort of Y wrinkle thing, just I don't know. It's just very expressive. So I'm definitely gonna lean into that. So I think what I'll do is start very lightly to get like a nice sharp point, and then press down to get a dark, thick line there. Like that. Pretty good. Let me try once more where it's a little bit lower. Looks like we didn't come far enough over on this one. I don't know if it matters. Let's just try to move it and see how that goes. I think it might look a little bit more menacing if it was closer in like that. These are the times where I'm like, you know, I should have done a tighter sketch, but here we are. So instead of using the eraser tool here, I'm going to double tap the modifier while I'm on the brush to use this brush as an eraser. And that way I can maintain that texture in the brush. So I think I'm gonna go over this again afterwards to tighten it up, because I'm not in love with the way this is coming out. I feel like I can make it a little bit more dramatic, and that's usually a result of my experimentation in the sketch phase. So don't do what I do. Keep working your sketch until you're absolutely ready. There's no need to rush it. This isn't an eyebrow. It's just like a brow line. Yeah, and I want to do these like boldest eyeballs. That's more relevant to my style, but then also putting in that like oval shape that makes it sort of come to a point like this. See, I think we're gonna have to make some changes here, because I don't like how close those are. It's causing a little bit of a weird tangent. A tangent being like where two lines almost touch, and when they almost touch but don't touch, it causes this like weird tension. It's like, are they gonna touch? Are they not gonna touch? I don't know what it is, but our eye is just drawn to that, and it becomes a focal point, and it becomes distracting. So you wanna avoid things being so close together where they almost might touch but not touch. You either wanna fully commit, have them fully touching, going through, past, but you don't want things to end close to each other. So give it a little breathing room, or fully charge into it, connected. All right, so let's pull this headband in. And again, I'm doing this thing where I'm letting the curve like protrude a good amount so it doesn't look awkward. So I want that like brow thing to come over it, this little lump thing at the top. I think it's just so sort of improvised, and I think it works well there. And because there's all these like wrinkles and expressive lines, I want to lean into that for the headband. I think it'll be way more interesting than just drawing just a line like that, you know, pushing into it a little bit. So what we can do is erase that and then like have this sort of, I don't know, just sort of pushing in on it to make it just a little bit more interesting than a straight line. Mouth lines, if you will. And now I just need a chin. So I'm gonna make a new layer and just draw the chin all the way through. That way I don't have to like try to eyeball it. And then since it's on its own layer, I can easily just come in and erase that middle part and then merge those down. So I like the way a lot of the insides of the mouths are red, but I think it'll look better if there's some black in there for that depth. So it's not just like all red, and it'll help the tongue to pop. So I decided to do these like a circular area that's like the depth of the throat, and then the outsides can be red, and that way the tongue will still pop. And then we're gonna do some sharp teeth. I like these like curved ones. These like curved ones would match well. I think these curved ones match well with the curve of the mouth. Just use the modifier to get rid of that overlapped stuff. Those look cool. Black one inside. I think this is okay, but I think it could be a little bit more expressive So what I typically do, and what I should have done for this one, is once I had that other sketch, I'll usually do a little bit of a tighter one, looking at details from my references and taking some inspiration. And then I turn it all off and then just do a tightened up drawing from my sketch. This allows me to sort of interpret it into my own style without having as much influence from the other artwork, but also, I don't know, it's just a way for me to sort of mesh the two things, like what I'm taking inspiration from and then my own thing. So that's what we're going to do here for the tightened up one. So I noodled around with the eyes and mask situation a little bit. I decided that there was too much happening at the top, and those two like furrow brow situations were overlapping with each other. So I simplified the top a little bit and then just put some sort of expressive lines to kind of go with it. So I'm going to use this as my tightened up sketch. I will do the line work, and you can watch in hyperspeed. So I'm feeling pretty good about this line work. I just want to add in a few more little details, some more things to tie it in. Like I like all these little spots that are happening on these characters. Okay, I think we are ready to get into the color phase. All right, it's color time, and we don't even have to think about colors because we already got our color palette. Got it pasted here, and what I'm going to do to start coloring this is make my line work layer a reference layer. So I'm going to set as reference, and I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to do the colors one at a time because, as I mentioned, I'm going to be layering them to make new colors. So I need them to be on separate layers that I can set to multiply to do that. So to get started, I am going to just grab the yellow and use the paint bucket filler tool to just fill in the areas that I'm going to need yellow. So this requires a little bit of thinking because I want the turtle to be green, but we don't have green. But I know that blue and yellow makes green. The first thing I'm going to do is color in the areas that I want to be green with the yellow. So fill this in, fill inside these little spots. Now I want the inside of the mouth to be red. We don't have red, but I can get a nice red color from this yellow and pink. So I'm going to fill in the inside of the mouth with the yellow as well. And then I think I'm going to go with yellow eyes too. Looks like the Kappas usually have yellow eyes. This one doesn't, but I think it'll be a cool effect. I'll fill those in. I think we'll go with that red on the outside of the eyes too. Okay, so now I'm going to make a new layer to start doing the blue. I'm going to go into the layer menu here, set that to multiply. I'm going to eyedropper the blue color, and then I'm going to fill this in. So this is Donatello, so he has purple, a purple headband. Yeah. So I'm going to fill the mask in blue, and then we'll put a pink over that to make the purple. I'm going to come back to the yellow layer. I think this thing's got a pretty evil vibe as it is, so I think maybe red would be nice. Okay, so another new layer, set to multiply. Select the magenta and fill it up here. You'll see that this is really dark and it's not what we want with purple, but I'm going to make that work by lowering the amounts of color. You'll see. We're going to use the Riso brushes, and there's different percentages of the colors, and that allows us to control what it looks like. Fill in the tongue and then the red areas. Oh, that's a nice red. Like that. Okay, so we've got our main stuff filled in. So because there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on, what I'm going to do is make a folder with this stuff so that it just simplifies things so we don't have to look at all the other stuff. I'm going to release the reference here. I'm going to come in and make the yellow multiply as well because it didn't look that way. Before I start making these Riso brush things, what I'm going to do is I want to come in and like add this like white layer. What? So what I'm going to do now is come in and like add these sort of like highlight areas where the color doesn't go all the way to the edge. I think that's very distinctive of this kind of stuff, and I think it'll add a nice effect there. So to do that, I'm going to make a new layer below the line work layer, and I'm going to grab white, and then I'm just going to kind of draw in that separation like this. Okay, so now that I have all of those highlight areas drawn in, what I'm going to do is turn that layer off and then tap on that layer and go to load as selection. And then I'm just going to go through each of the colors and erase that from them. And now what I want to do is sort of emulate this, just like the wild use of the color. Like I like this pink reddish color coming through on the nose. So I'm going to select the pink, and then on a new layer, I'm going to draw in some of that. So I think I might overlap some of the areas where there's white. I think just this combination of the like green and that pink just makes it sort of very vibrant. It looks pretty cool. So I think I'll use it here instead of the white, since that is what was done on this one, and that sort of inspired this altogether. Okay, so for this, I'm going to do the same thing, load as selection, turn it off, and then I'm just going to erase it from the yellow and the blue. And then what I want to do is I'm going to turn everything off. What I'm going to do, which may be a little confusing, but it'll make sense later, is I'm going to load the line work as a selection, and then I'm going to erase that. So I just have the part that's not going to be seen by the line work. And then I can merge that down with the magenta, and now we can turn this stuff back on. Now I just want to do this one more time with the blue, because I think it'll be a fun little, I don't know, contrasting thing with the magenta, maybe like a shadow type thing. I think I just really like these wild colors like right next to each other. So for this one, let's do that same thing. We can load the selection of the line work and then erase that from the blue, and then we can load this as a selection, then we can erase it from the yellow and the pink. The reason we're doing this is so that, because all these colors overlay on each other, and if we want it to be blue, we can't have any color underneath it, or it won't be blue. It'll be a mix of those colors. So now we can turn that back on, and then we can merge it with the rest of the blue. What I'm going to do now is fill this in with the Riso brushes to get that texture and the color that we want. Let's start with the blue. Click on that layer, go to load as selection, turn it off, and I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to come over to my brushes, and I'm going to go find my Retro Supply Co Riso brushes. And you'll notice here that there's all these different numbers, and it can be a little confusing. The Riso set comes with color 1, color 2, color 3. The difference between these is just that the texture pattern is slightly different, so that they overlay in a natural way. For example, if they all had the same pattern and you overlaid a color on top of another color, there wouldn't be any of those areas where you see one of the colors and not the other color because of the imperfection in the print. So you just want to choose one of the colors to pertain to your colors. For example, since we're starting with blue, we will use number 1 for the blue. And that way we can use number 2 for the yellow. The texture will be different and they will overlay in a natural way. The other thing is the percentages, and that is just like ink coverage. 100% is pretty solid. There's still some texture to it, but minimal. And then if you go all the way down to like 10%, that's very, very light. It's just like some tiny little dots. So you can mix and match this for different areas if you want. I'm going to start with 90. I just make this brush really big because I already have my selection here. So I just paint over it. One thing you want to keep in mind when using the Riso brushes is that because they are made to multiply and be transparent, once you lift and then draw again, it'll double up the color. So for example, here you see it's getting darker. It's because it's layering blue on top of blue. So that's why I like to make a selection and then make the brush as big as I can and then just color the whole thing in. And that way you get a nice clean one shot of that color. And now we can move on to the yellow. So we can load this as a selection. Make a new layer, set this layer to multiply, shoot it onto the blue. I'll do it afterwards. Select the yellow color. I might want to try doing a couple different yellows to sort of change how things are colored. In order to do that, I'm going to deselect the selection here. I want to make the eyes very yellow, like those would be dark yellow. And I want the inside of the mouth dark yellow because I want that to be a nice dark red. So I'm going to do those first. These little pieces are also red. I'm going to turn that off, and then I'm going to go onto this new layer, and here I'm going to do 100 for this one, and I'm going to use color 2 because this is our second color, and then I'll fill those in. So we can deselect that, and now I can come back to this layer and then grab the yellow areas that are in the green area. And then for this, I want to go a little lighter. So maybe we'll go down to 70, choose color 2. As you can see here, we've got a lighter yellow there, and we turn this on. You can see we've got a nice green color there. And as you can see here, what I was talking about, because they have different textures, we've got areas where you can see the yellow and areas where you can see the blue. So it's not just a perfect repetition of pattern, which would not look authentic. Let's turn these off so we can see what we're doing. Let's go back to let's go to the magenta layer. And I'm going to do some different selections here because, again, I want to control things. The main thing that I want to change is the mask color. I want this to be lighter so that we can get a good purple color. Then we can turn back on our other colors and then make a new layer, set this to multiply. Here I have the magenta. And I'm going to try I'm going to try 50%, and I'm going to choose color 3. And we're going to see what this looks like. I don't think it looks great. So I think what we need to do to get the purple that we want is to do the opposite of what we've done here. And that would be to do a more solid magenta and a lighter blue. Let's undo this. And instead, let's go 90%. Can fill that in, and it's already looking a little bit better. But what I want to do now is let's go to the original blue layer that has this color here, select this, and now we can turn that off, come back to our Riso blue, and then erase that area. And now we can come back and get a lighter amount. So let's try the 50, and we'll choose color 1 because blue is our first color. Let's turn back on our magenta layer. And now let's try this. You gotta make sure you pick the right color. Oh yeah, there we go. That's purple. That's what we wanted. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap load as selection, but because I don't want the mask area, if I go to the magic wand and then use the modifier, I can use it to deselect areas. So I can tap just those parts of the mask that we don't want. So now we can come back to our magenta layer. Let's go with a dark one for this one. I'm going to go all the way to 100. Magenta is our third color. And now we can just fill that in like that. And let's turn everything on here. So now we just need our line work. What we can do here is tap on our line work layer, load as selection, and then we just need to come to each of our colors. So I'm going to take the old ones and put them in a group so it's not as confusing. So you can see what we're doing here. So we just have 3 colors. So I'm going to click on our magenta color, and we already have that brush set. Paint in that selection. And I don't even have to deselect because we need to do it for each color. Come down to the yellow layer, and I'm going to choose yellow, and I'm going to I'm going to stick with 100 for the line work ones because I want them to be nice and dark. This was our second color, so I'm going to choose color 2, 100. Color that in, and now we'll come down to the blue layer. Dark line quality, looking good. And then what I like to do is just grab one of these or two, shift it a little bit so it's not completely perfect. I feel like it gives it a little bit more style. I think it looks pretty rad. What do you think?
Yeah.
Limitations are possibilities. That's what I always say. Now that you've gotten a little taste of these Riso brushes, you really should watch this other video here where I go into a lot more detail about these brushes. And in that video, you're going to see all of these other cool brushes that come with the set that are like these print defect brushes, or you can get all these other cool textures. I show you how to add texture, make it look a little more gritty, a little bit more beat up. Show you how to use paper texture involved. It's going to take your Riso style game to the next level. All right, good talk. Cowabunga. It means no worries. I know it doesn't mean no worries.